Maybe you are sick and tired of the same sleazy and all home buying tips. In this video, I am revealing the real estate secrets that most realtors don't want you to know. Let's dive in.
So, stick around for the home buying advice that you're not going to get anywhere else.
So, the first thing they don't want you to know is no one tells you to look at different financing options that you have. So, for example, some realtors and lenders won't tell you to put a 20 to 25% down if you can. Why? Because in order for you to avoid private mortgage insurance, the real thing should be that you should be putting 20 to 25% as a down payment. Additionally, a lot of people don't tell you that your PITI, principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, should not be more than 25% of your gross income. You see, in the borrowing money in the lending industry, there is a rule that is called debt to income ratio. And a lot of loan officers and real estate agents sometimes push the maximum they can for buyers to be able to afford a property, which makes it very difficult for these purchasers sometimes to afford something because they are buying at the limit of their gross income. So, staying in at 25% of your gross income, it definitely assures you that in the event of tough times, you will not struggle as much. But when you go above 30% and especially closer to 40% debt to income ratio, that is when really you have to get you can get in trouble. So always ask for your different options what you can do. And you see there are options about 30-year fixed, 15-year fixed. Ask for a lot of these things. Another thing that people don't tell you is, hey, how long you're planning to live in this property? And maybe your idea to living in this property is only 5 to 10 years. So does it make sense for you to take a 30-year fix? Listen, I am all pro 30-year fixed loans. I don't like variable loans, adjustable rates. I don't like that. But if you only know you're going to be there 5 to 10 years, maybe a 10-year arm could be also a solution. It's on a case by case basis, but I'm just saying apply what is best for you. And of course, the shorter the period of time of a loan, sometimes the savings can be significant. But consult with your loan officer and your real estate agent. Another thing is nobody tells you to go over and take title insurance. A lot of people tells you, well, the lender demands that you do title insurance for the portion that you are financing. But under this example that I'm giving you, where you're putting about 20 to 25% down payment, that means that your equity at risk it's higher versus putting 5%. So the lender is always going to want to have title insurance, but the buyers sometimes don't want to get it. And let's be honest, title insurance is not something that you're going to be using often, and hopefully you don't have to use it, but it's insurance. It's a peace of mind. This prevents you from down the road somebody can put a claim against the piece of property you bought, land, townhouse, condo, whatever it is, to say, hey, that is my property. And this can actually prevent you from having to go through all those headaches. And the legal fees are super expensive. So I highly recommend you go for title insurance for the owner side. Always get a survey because it's very important to know. And I know the lenders sometimes just requires the minimum survey for meets and bounds, the square footage, points north, south, and so on. But I think it's important for you to know that if your fence is built on the next door's property line, that you want to correct that. And on the same token, if the next door neighbor's property line, the fence, it's inside your property line, it's called encroachment, then you want to make sure that that's taken care of. So always get a survey for your peace of mind. Talking about that, home inspection. Very important to get a home inspection. And I know that biggest regrets most home buyers have after the purchase of a house, after they lived in the property for 1, 2, 3, 4 years, is that some of them didn't do a proper home inspection. And I get it. We have come from a seller's market where houses were flying off the shelves every day. And the more contingencies you added to your offer, the less appealing your offer will look for a seller. So, in order for you to not only have to pay above asking price, you have to also waive the home inspection. It's extremely risky. So, here in Maryland, in Montgomery County, we have something that is called a walk and talk. So that's basically, it's not a full blown inspection, but there's an inspector, somebody that understands this, that will come and meet with you at the property and do a walk and talk. They're not going to test items. They're not going to bring their thermal guns to point at the locations where humidity could be high, or not going to get on the roof, but they definitely will point things that you should be aware of. So ask your home inspection company if they have a light inspection that we call it walk and talk. I don't know how they may call it in your neck of the woods. My next point is, do not buy a house, and I'll tell you why you should not buy a house under these circumstances. Do not buy a house that is a good deal, but it's ugly on the outside. You don't want that. You really want a house that it is also a good deal and it has an excellent curb appeal. A lot of people make the mistake of buying a house that it seems like a good deal, but boy, it's really ugly from the outside. And unless you have a lot of money to spend, I will stay away from those things. Another thing that you shouldn't be doing is buying a house that it is sits on a double yellow line. Yes, that means that it's a lot of traffic, and people, especially families with kids, most likely not going to pay attention to a house that sits on a busy road. Maybe they want to get more a house that is more in an interior of the community on a cul-de-sac. In my opinion, houses that are on busy roads take a big hit in terms of value. They can go as high as 5% compared to a house that doesn't sit on a busy road. So do not buy that house that it's on a busy road. Also, do not buy a house that backs to a highway. The noise from a highway, sometimes you have those ugly big walls, retention walls to prevent of that noise, doesn't give you a lot of the curb appeal. Not buy a house that has been a full rehab. Why? Because when you work with investors, especially flippers, they are looking at their bottom line. They're not looking at the quality of the products, of the materials they'll be using, and the workmanship. So I will say that try to stay away as much as you can from buying houses that are not that are rehabs. Now, if you are going to buy a house like that, I suggest that you do a full-blown home inspection on this type of property so you can uncover a lot of issues. And hey, let's be honest, also homes from builders have issues. So that's another tip right here. Uh, do not buy a house that is in an HOA. Yes, please. HOAs are now well known for charging outrageous fees for you to live in a community, only to tell you what colors you can and cannot paint your front door or the exterior of your home. And I get it, not every community, you don't have the luxury, affordability, and so on. But HOAs are becoming less popular because of how strict are the rules they are imposing on homeowners and their outrageous fees. So stay away from HOAs if you can. Also, don't buy a house in areas where you pay double tax. Yeah, it's where you have to pay your regular like real estate taxes, as well you have to pay some additional city taxes. Like here in Frederick County, there is a portion of the county on the city of Frederick that you get double tax. So what happens is, the moment you cross to the other side of the neighborhood on the across the street, they are now double taxed. So you're going to be looking like, should I buy that house that actually pays more in taxes than this one? Same square footage, built around the same time. What is the benefit? So you always investigate what is the benefit of paying that double tax, city taxes, and so on. You know what you can do instead? Buy a boring house. Then you can make it interesting. By boring, I mean outdated sometimes, that you can later on repair. Kitchen, bathrooms, basements, flooring, windows. Yeah, that can be a boring house that you can repair down the road. And always, do the best work you can, because you are going to sell it at some point and you want to get that money back as much as you can. And this takes me to my next point. Do not throw your money away. A lot of people make the huge mistake to throw your money away. So I recently came across this article from the Dave Ramsey website that it says the average monthly expenses by house size. And it's very interesting what it says. Well, here's what we know. We do know the average monthly expense for American household are about $6,440. That's up to $77,000 per year. So they have broken it down in a very good way. So in here you see a single person household spends an average $4,600 on a monthly expenses. A married couple, it's about $7,300, and a family of four spends between $8,400 and almost $10,000. So do not throw your money away. Always budget for things that you know that are important. And this is a nice breakdown of the average American monthly expenses. Housing, in this case, is about 32%. I earlier said that maybe you want to stay around 25%, which is, you see now why I say it that way. Transportation, that's all your gasoline, your food, your personal insurance and pensions, healthcare, entertainment, cash contributions, other services, education, and additional expenditures. And on top of that, I highly recommend that you should also put aside money for maintenance. It's very important that you put money aside for the maintenance of your property, especially if your house was built in the 60s, 70s, 80s, even 90s. Right now it's 2024, so you know that your property eventually is going to need additional money in terms of repairs. So make sure that you don't overspend and budget appropriately when you are buying your house. You see a lot of these real estate agents, they just want you to buy a house so they can make a commission. But what they don't tell you is, hey, make sure that you're going to be comfortable with your monthly payment. And that whole thing of, date the rate and marry the house, it's just a lot of BS. It's really not, doesn't, because if you cannot afford it from day one, what makes you believe you're going to afford it down the road? I can actually, things do get more expensive sometimes. So just be careful with that, but make sure again that you are looking into your budget and do not throw your money away, and budget accordingly. So I came across this article that is very interesting that says the average American drops $330,000 when it comes, and this is, I'll summarize this article. It's a very interesting article. I'll have a copy here of the entire thing, but in summary, it says that a recent study finds that that reveals that a typical American renter will spend over $330,000 on rent, utilities, and other expenses between the age of 22 and 35, which averages about $25,000 per year or $2,000 per month. Costs may vary depending on the location. Like, for example, in a place like Hawaii, the most expensive will be about $600,000 for a 10 years of renting. With more affordable options will be Texas, Minnesota, that average between 203,000, as high as 203 and as low as 273. Median rent prices have risen 21% since 2019, making renting a significant financial burden to a lot of these people that are thinking about buying a house. Imagine if you would be able to save that $330,000. I know you have to live somewhere, but imagine you can save half of that 330 to put as a down payment for the purchase of a house. That will be a much better deal for you. So again, keep in mind, do not throw your money away. Don't live in an expensive rental location that you know it is going to be a good thing for you. If you can telework, maybe you want to consider moving to a state where things are a little bit cheaper and then you can work from home and don't have to go to your office. Maybe that's a good solution so that you can go to places like Texas and Minnesota so that you can pay as little as you can for rent, and then you can save as much as you can so that you can later on move to your ideal forever location as you decide to upsize to your new home. And this takes me to the final point, is how do you know you are getting your best advice? Okay. How do you know a realtor loan officer is being truthful on what they're telling you? So here's what I will say. Always hire a professional to help you purchase a house. And I know I'm going to get a lot of fire. A lot of people are going to tell me, well, I bought my house without a real estate agent. I've done it so many times. I don't know why I need a house, why I do need a realtor. I get it. Not everybody needs a real estate agent. And I am not saying that you should always have one. But especially if you're going to be a first time home buyer, or you are upsizing into your forever home or downsizing, and the last time you bought a house was 10, 15 years ago, I think it's a good idea to interview a real estate agent to help you purchase a house. On the same note, you might want to interview at least two realtors and two loan officers at the same time to know that you're getting the best deal. I always say go up to max of three people, so then you know that you are getting the best advice. You'll know immediately who is not telling you the truth. I can tell you that right now, I'm very sure of that. Also, compare loan products. Banks have different loan products. Mortgage brokers have also access to hundreds of banks with different products. Credit unions also have a lot of things. Now, caveat with credit unions, nothing against them, but because they have less people working at their place, they also have to cut on the service they provide to you. So that can be a little bit of a problem sometimes. But you know, do your homework and consult at least with two big institutions and maybe a mortgage broker. The other thing is you need to ask yourself how long you're going to be living there. I mean, maybe you're not going to be living there for a long period of time. So you just got to look into, is it worth to go through the whole process of buying, or maybe it's not. Maybe you should buy something smaller instead. Just think about that and run the numbers and run different scenarios of how you know what is best for you in terms of your own finances. Another good thing is, are you financially ready? Not a lot of people are financially ready. Sometimes you think you are, but when you look at the numbers, then you know you are not. And just don't buy a house to buy into a house. And you say, well, later on, I can rent the basement of my house. I can rent a room and have a roommate. Yeah, I get it. You can do all those things, but there are also some other things that you have to deal when you have a roommate and so on. So be careful with that. And my very last, and this is my very unique advice, is do not buy the first house that you see. Please, even if it checks off all of the things in your wish list, do not buy that house. You'll be making a huge mistake. I always tell buyers that you at least have to see a minimum of three homes, as max as 10 houses, and then you'll have an idea what you want. Remember, this is physically going to see the homes. I'm sure you're going to probably browse through hundreds of homes on the big search engines before you decide to go and see a house. And that's it. I hope this advice could save you big headaches, unpleasant surprises, thousands of dollars, and help you avoid a lifetime of regrets. Thank you again. I'm Robert Garcia, and I am here to guide you through this raw real estate market and help you upside the smart and simplify way. If you like this content, do me a favor and give it a like to this video. And if you really see a lot of value, you want to smash that button to subscribe. I promise I'll continue to bring very good content just like this. If you need to get a hold of me, there is a link and a QR code for you to schedule an appointment with me. Have a good day. Bye bye.